Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to rise on behalf of New Zealand First to take a call. I think I'll be struggling to do a fantastic job as Tura Katane did before. I thought that was a fantastic example of how to filibuster and fill up 10 minutes. And they were clearly getting a speak for 10 minutes call, and fantastic. But I'd also like to recognise Mr Brett Hudson for his contribution as well, Mr Speaker. And I think as a National Party member, he's certainly a well-balanced member. Of course, having a chip on both shoulders does help. And we will, of course, be supporting this.
Mentioning the bill would be a good start.
Absolutely, I'll get there right now, Mr Speaker. I have to get that out of the way nice and quickly. Mr Speaker, we will be supporting this bill today in the House. And just for the reference of Mr Hudson, on Tuesday night, for example, Mr Speaker, I was sitting in the House, and out of the 4 bills that were read out that day, New Zealand First actually supported 3 of them. That's a 75% support rate. Let's just see how we get on today, Mr Speaker. Look, there is not a lot that has already been said that I can re-say, but New Zealand First does support it because it does make sense. Back in 2001, when of course we had the terror attacks on the Trade Centre in the USA, which was the catalyst for the Labor government to bring in these reduced passports, I think it was a quick reaction. I think it was a reaction that probably in hindsight was unnecessary, but an action that was taken nonetheless. New Zealand First was and did not support the reduction for the 10 years to the 5-year passports back in those days, and have on a number of occasions spoken about bringing back those 10-year passports. We are somewhat disappointed, sir, that it has taken 7 years for this government to actually bring this bill to the House, and now that it has been brought to the House, it's actually been moving along quite quickly and certainly in a positive fashion. At the end of today's deliberation, this final 3rd reading of this bill, we're going to see this Passport Amendment Bill enacted and making some positive changes for the Act, the Passports Act 1992, which of course, first and foremost, first cab off the ranks is going to bring a lot of happiness and joy to those people back home, particularly those that are getting passports, and those travellers, those New Zealanders that get around a bit, because you will have a 10-year passport application available from the 30th of November. Of course, Mr Speaker, this bill wouldn't have got there without the input from the Select Committee, and I just want to commend their input on this bill. I think they've worked diligently. There was about 20 submitters. Nobody came in to give an oral submission, but they certainly were in favour of these passports being expanded out to 10 years. And of course, Peter Dunn, I think he's done a good job working with Cabinet and the National Party to ensure that the pricing of this passport didn't blow out to the $404 that was initially expected, and have actually brought that into a more palatable fee of $180 odd. Mr Speaker, New Zealand First thinks that that price could come down, that we think that $180, albeit over the 10-year period, is around about $90 deduction on what you would be paying over the $135 twice for the same period. It is actually only a 9.5-year passport, and I think if you understand the ideology as New Zealand First does, is that every dollar is a prisoner, then we can make some small changes, some significant changes in the size of the passport, for example, how many pages are within it, that might actually help reduce some of those costs, because we're talking about potentially from 2021 getting an extra $200 million odd from Treasury to actually enable that. I just want to, because I glimpsed over it before, also bring to the attention back in 2001 when New Zealand First, when Labor Party did bring in the 5-year passports, that it was a little bit quick. The vast majority of the countries around the world stuck with their 10-year passports, Australia being one of them, Canada. The United States of America even kept their 10-year passports, and many of the OECD countries realised that their passports were actually okay at 10 years. So it was a bit of a shame that we reacted so quickly. In hindsight, it was, but good to see that we are making some headway now. As far as the security of the new passports go, I think they're a much better way of operation, that they can be cancelled via the computer. You don't need to send them in to cancel them, to cut them in half or do whatever they do. That's certainly going to make things a lot easier for internal affairs with people coming in or going. And it is a reminder of those people that are planning on travelling to make sure that all their fines are paid up and there's no warrants for arrests or anything like that, because of course it's all done over the computer. You might find yourself inadvertently getting to the departure lounge and being turned away at the gates because of course you might have a fine that hasn't been paid. I won't go on any further. We do support this. New Zealand First strongly supports this bill going through the House, and we look forward to hearing from some of the other speakers this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kia ora.